Preservation Committee meeting on January 7th, 2025. And I'm Ann Mazar, and I'm representing the Land Use Committee on the Community Preservation Committee. Peter?
Peter Denton, Housing Authority.
Mike Mandalea, Conservation Commission.
Dan Byer, Parks Commission.
Mike Goddard, Select Board.
Great. Did you get a chance to look at the November 5th minutes? Someone want to make a motion to accept them?
So moved. Second.
Okay, Mike, Leah, Peter. Do we have to do a roll call vote?
Yeah.
Hi, Kathy.
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Goddard, aye.
Mike Mandalea,
Dan, aye.
Yeah. All right. So we don't have too much tonight, but in October, November, I went to a CPA sort of like update meeting. And one of the things that it was put on by the Community Preservation Coalition. And one of the things that they said was that every town should have a community preservation plan. And we don't really have a formal one. And so we need to put one together. And so I'm going to work on that. And I wasn't the only one. Other people were like, really? So I think we got in very early on CPA, and that wasn't kind of required, whereas now they want you to.
They didn't happen to kind of give you a boilerplate of what a plan would be like, and what other towns have a plan, so we can kind of.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a boilerplate because we've done a housing production plan, we've done a master plan, we've done the open space and recreation plan, and we did something else. And so we've done so many plans and surveys in Mendon, I think we have all the information from those other plans. And then if I can follow the format from another plan, yeah.
I just Googled it, so they have a page and they have links to a bunch of different towns.
Yeah.
So like I clicked on Northbridge because I figured they'd be comparable. And
Or like Upton, I was thinking Upton, because
Yeah.
they're actually working on theirs now, and so they said they would share it.
we can get this going. Yeah, it looks like it's
There's
just
a way we can create just a very simple cover sheet and then links to all the other plans you reference, because
I
the
know.
master plan identifies sort of the focus around that in
Oh,
But
oh,
maybe, I'm not sure that the legislation establishing the program wouldn't be a basic plan anyway.
yeah, these are pretty basic. Like this is just, it lists all the different things and what it's like a restating of all the allowable uses and
Yeah, basically,
kind of what the committee's policies are. It's like 20 pages long. This isn't going to be some
okay,
that's what the
monster.
original legislation outlined.
Yeah.
They tell us what you can do and what you can't do, so that's the plan.
all right, well,
That's basically in this.
And I think also-
Can't.
I think they want your goals, but we have the open space recreation plan, we have the affordable housing
Oh, he's back.
plan. Hey, Mike. We agree with what you said.
Sorry about that.
Other than obviously, it's great to have a plan, no matter what you're doing, if you're gonna build a house or build a road or whatever. But what other advantages having that plan other than that? Is there?
I
Is
think
that
it's,
something that the state is gonna say, well, you guys have a plan with, so,
I think
to put
it,
it bluntly, is that get us extra points?
probably, I suppose if they asked, yes.
Yeah.
But I think it's like when people are applying for CPA funds, then you can refer, oh, yes, this is something that we're working towards. Or if you're writing a grant, you can say, yes, this is in our CPA plan, our open space and recreation plan, our affordable housing plan, master plan, so we have a lot of plans that we can refer to.
I think from what I'm reading, it seems like it's supposed to tie into that annual public hearing that we're supposed to have to then say like, these are what we're working towards.
And actually, on the public hearing, well, a couple things. On that public hearing, I sent an email to Elena that we need to have one at the select board meeting. And, sent an email to everyone saying if they have any ideas for CPA or land use. And then I want to put something in the free press so that, the residents can, offer ideas. So that would be set up probably in early March. But also the general bylaw committee they're looking at all bylaws, and one of the bylaws that's outdated is the land use committee bylaw, because it was put in before the CPA, and so somehow they have to coordinate, and that public hearing, I think, fits with both of those committees, so. Everything is sort of in flux now, I guess I'd say. But if you look at the attachments in the email, I don't know if you looked at them, but, you know, we have a, we have a CPA application, and we have selection criteria. And I just want to review it tonight. And in the last several years, we haven't really had people fill out applications because we have never had an application that fit the guidelines for CPA that we haven't approved. So there hasn't been any like competition or anything. And also, almost every application that comes with grant funding. And so the applicants have put together a whole grant application that we can refer to. But I think that we probably should get back in the habit of having them fill out the CPA application. So I thought maybe if we could just, if you have a chance to look at it or have any comments on it. Did you have a chance to look at it, Mike?
No,
You want to
But I
look
will.
at it? Okay.
if you have something.
Yeah, it's on scrap paper, there's something on the back, 'cause I don't know what's on the back.
Yeah, right.
Right, could be.
Yeah.
So I guess a lot of this is sort of housekeeping things. I want to get, you know, the plan in place, the public hearing, so that it makes more sense. Because right now I'm just following the land use bylaw. And it's out of date. But the point is we're trying to let the public know, we have a community preservation fund. Do you have ideas? And, you know, get participation. So any comments on the application or the selection criteria, or you want to look over it and then next time we can review it?
And just real quick on the recreation section.
Yep.
It highlights passive recreation with some examples of it. I would probably just passive and or active recreation, because we know there's a strong desire for recreational fields to be developed in town.
Does it not say active?
I don't think it calls it out. The examples seem to be more passive, and it does specifically reference passive recreation. Maybe I missed it.
So
The
it
selection criteria.
says open space, historical, portable recreation.
It says supports multiple recreation uses. Doesn't say anything about passive.
I think if you then I would remove any reference to passive and just cite different examples, like throw sports fields in the example, something like that, because you're going to have people looking at this for their focus, right? And we know there's a focus there. So.
Okay. These were done long ago. Any other comments or things that people notice?
All recreational activities.
I mean, there's no rush on this, so you can also just look it over.
It says maximizes the land already owned by mendonma, e.g. school property. Where the school property isn't it owned by the district, quote unquote?
Is
Not
the,
all of it.
But they actually rent it, like, Clough is, yeah, they sign like a lease for $1 or something like that. They got to renew every few years.
I think my interpretation of this is maybe like funding things to increase, like, you know, if they need a new court that the public could use. But maybe we should clarify something. I think this.
Well, I might remove school as an example.
Yeah.
What do you say?
what'd you say, Mike?
I'd remove school as the example for that bullet and just put in town-owned parcels example, you know, let's pick one, Inman Hill or something, you know?
I know we voted one time to transfer the control or ownership of the schools to the district, quote unquote. Now, what that actually means in day-to-day use, I do not know. It was a town meeting vote, and I don't even know if they've ever done it since or not. So, I don't know, and if that includes all the fields or just the buildings, what they did.
Anything else?
I agree with Mike. If there's a school, I think land already owned by Mendon
Yeah.
covers it, covers it.
No, that's good.
Or put another example in next to schools. If we don't have another example, then I would agree with Mike, take the school
Mhm.
property out.
All right, well, why don't you look it over, do you want to keep those sheets?
I'd love to keep this.
Yeah, you
You can have this back on.
Yeah, no.
And you look, you have it on Monday, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And I think this is another place on the application, you could put reference to, like, under affordable housing, just reference, in line with the housing production plan, the goals and objectives of.
Yeah.
And just simplify it that way.
Okay,
Less maintenance long-term for various boards and committees, if we can kind of keep pointing them back to the same macro plan,
yes. Yeah, I mean, I'd also like to have examples so someone can look at the application and kind of see generally what we're
Give an
going
idea.
after, and then say, for more information, go to the housing production plan or something like that. Any comments on historical? Kathy or Dan?
I think I'm gonna read a little bit more on it and first.
Okay, okay. All right, well, I'll put this on the agenda for next week, and then I'll include the changes that you've suggested, and we can work from that. And I'll send it to you, so you can see it. So the next item is discuss 75 Providence Street Affordable Housing Plan. And right now, Jack Hunter got a grant so that we can get help in terms of finding out what we could do with that front part of the paddock property. And right now, Horsley and Witten is the group that we're working with, and they're coming up with a plan, and they should have something in this month to give us an idea. And I think also, we're only talking about the front part of the paddock property that's on Providence Road, and the majority of the property, like 50 acres, will remain open space. And there's a lot of misinformation going around and getting sent to neighbors. So I think at some point we need to put like an article in the paper explaining exactly what the goal is.
Said by who?
And a butter.
Yeah, I want to say.
I was gonna add, just for in case someone goes back and watches this meeting, just to clarify, so this is looking at like 5 to 10 units, not hundreds, like very, very small on the very front.
It's more, it probably
Like
be more
20?
than that,
Okay,
but because unfortunately affordable housing, it needs to be subsidized just because developers can't make money
right.
otherwise. And it sounds like
And
40 units is like the
max.
the minimum, actually. But that's,
okay.
but that would be like our max. But it
Oh,
would
so
be done
that's more,
well.
so that is more than I,
Yeah.
but it's still, we're limited, I mean, it's the same issue with paddock, the other paddock. Like, we're not putting in a sewer treatment plant and an insane, it's limited by that, right?
What dictates the amount of housing, whether it's affordable or any housing, is the ability for a septic system. I.e., like you say, we're not gonna build a sewer treatment plant. And the state's not, and the federal government's not gonna throw money at us right now to build a sewer treatment plant. The cost would be astronomical to push your sewer to
Right.
Mendon.
So we're
So
limited.
it's not like, again, it's all, like you say, it's misinformation, scare tactic, somebody's being, pardon my language, a jackass,
And I mean, I think the goal of this is to have it be very attractive, you know, affordable
Mhm.
for the people and nice housing though. So I
Right.
think it's to show people like, this is what affordable housing looks like, you know, it can be very nice. And there's a lot of people that, you know, can't live in Mendon, that want to downsize, that are older or younger people that would like to stay in the community. So this hopefully will offer.
I agree, and it's a fact. Of course, we want to build something, or have something built that's gonna look nice. I'm not gonna build trash. So,
Where we at with the house and barn now?
Well, that's what we're waiting to hear back what the consultants say. The one thing that they were pretty clear on is barn. Was that, did someone say something? No. Okay, is the barn is not really salvageable. So that probably, but, you know, I said that, you know, we agree that it's sort of like a nice old barn, so whatever would be put there, it would be like reconstructed like a barn so that it would look historic and be attractive and.
well, it's gotta be, again, it's gotta be structurally sound, gotta be
Right.
safe,
And it's,
especially if it's gonna be open to the public.
right. And it's just not, I mean, the building inspector said, you
Is
know,
that a postman beam? You know,
I don't know, what do you say, Dan?
I'm not sure.
The foundation is really nice, though, that they said the foundation they could probably use, which is really a beautiful stone foundation, yeah.
That's
Like, you don't want to walk on the second story of it. It
really.
does not feel good. There's a lot of bounce.
Yeah.
No, but when you're inside of the beams and then,
Let me look at my pictures if I have a
because
picture.
if it is, I mean.
Yeah, they have some material that can be salvaged.
Definitely material should be salvaged, I think, you know, if there's.
Well, no, you should have fixed that, but if it's just a regular constructed, what I mean, it was.
Yeah, several people have looked at it, like the building inspector personally went and they all said that, it's, no. Yeah. And I was hoping maybe they could gut the inside and then, you know, keep the outside, but it's.
Yeah. No, no.
So,
The town gotta figure out to do it, or they're gonna spend a lot of money on maintenance or nothing.
well, hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have some kind of a plan or report or ideas that we can share from the consultants.
So like I said, right now all they're doing is they're working up a potential plan, but this would still have to go before all sorts of planning, permitting, town meetings, so it's like way preliminary. Just again, in case someone's watching this and wondering what's going on, it's like the very early planning stages.
Yeah. But if anybody had any questions, they can definitely email the Community Preservation Committee or call or whatever, you know, happy to talk to them. Or come to a meeting, if they have concerns. But so that's the status of that. Then, let's see, well, the records room?
Yeah. Hang on, I'm gonna pump the number to read it. Numbers.
Oh, Kathy, I'm sorry, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the existing home on the Paddock property. Is that still intended to be a single family use? Sorry, I have a wicked cold.
Oh, yeah, that's the idea. But again, you know, the consultants are like working through all the engineering, the wetlands, the rocks, you know,
Yeah.
Everything, figuring out what would work. And that was the direction they were going in, but I'm not sure what the final answer is gonna be.
All right,
And
okay.
these obviously are suggestions, you know what I mean, you know, for us to look at, and we'll have information of why they put a particular plan together, or what different options are.
Right, okay.
So I don't know. But I mean, the house structurally is decent. So,
So yeah, the record room, the project under the grant is complete. We've closed out. We have our final letter from the state. All done now. There's a surplus of $31,722.59.
you said again, 31,000.
31,722.59. So those funds would ultimately close back out to CPA I think the only question is if we want to try and finish the flooring, which is the thing that got stopped because we ran out of money. But I know Kathy reached out, we have not heard back from the contractor yet, I know it was the holidays, to try and get him to give us a price and I know there were questions at that last meeting, we talked about it, to, have a scope of work of what they want to do, what it'll cost. I mean, the change order was $5,000, so it's not some astronomical sum, it would just be to relay the flooring that they had to take up to secure everything. And then I think at that point, the building is now stable, and then we need to work on what phase 2 is gonna be. Historic has talked about, there's some stuff we need to do. We need to clean the HVAC system, potentially install a dehumidifier, more maintenance things. But then I think there's still a phase 2 if we want to try and have that building be occupied in terms of the land swap, designing a well and septic, or tight tank, whatever it's gonna be. And it's still ADA access. So the total was $64,000 was the total grant amount.
So, we received the reimbursement from the state.
We've got everything
and
back.
that was paid to the,
Yeah, so it's a reimbursement grant, so they won't do any, so we had to send them copies of canceled checks, but the
Okay.
money all came back to us, so it's all done. So we spent $110,000 in CPA funds. And then we had an additional 64 from the state, and then our expenses, which I don't have totaled here.
Where does the surplus go?
Ultimately, it would close back out to the CPA fund, because it was CPA funds that started it.
Yeah,
The total project cost was I want to say 137,000. I will say just in the future, if we ever do this again, even though the requirement is not 100% match, the town meeting vote, we should appropriate 100% match of CPA funds. And then whatever is unspent, that caused a lot of complications with cash flow and trying to close this out. Because it's meant to be an incremental process, but then it was just a mess.
so what do you think the best process is?
So like, when you do a park grant, like whatever the one we're doing, the lights, it's 100% match. We have to approve, if the project's 100,000 or if the project's 200,000 and we get a $100,000 grant, we appropriate the full 200,000 and then we get 100,000 back.
Right.
The historic had all these funky rules that it was like a 75% match. So if the project was 100,000, you only had to appropriate 75,000 with the understanding you get reimbursements. But it just made a mess of things. So I would say we should just plan on appropriating 100% match. And well, it'll get returned, but it solves us issues of being held up waiting for grant payments, the whole project stalling out, and having a town administrator is, I think having a team in place to go at this in the future.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think most state grants work that way though, don't they? I mean, you have to appropriate the full amount and then they reimburse you and, but you pay up front.
This project was just the perfect storm because we were down to the wire. We had all these additional engineering costs because we had the problem with the first engineer.
I mean, I'm agreeing with you, Dan. I just think, then everything we do grant wise would be a common approach, regardless if it's CPA or, the road work we're doing, things like that. We just kind of, as a town, a municipality, we handle these the same way, appropriate up front and then deal with the reimbursement after the fact.
Yeah, I don't know if there's other grants that have these partial reimbursement type mechanisms. We just need to make sure if we go into those, we understand the implications of that. But yeah, it's done. So now we need to figure out phase 2. And I don't know, Kathy, I know you had talked to some people about different ideas as well. I think Historic is still working on things.
Yeah, we are. We'd love to see it get used. And we've spoken with Jeremy about that. But we're still in the thinking part of it.
What I also like to see is that, Dan, this runs through, the capital process as well.
So the next phase, you're saying?
Yeah, when the idea comes up and that's might be something we want to, I'll look at the application and maybe even put a checkbox in there in terms of, the size of the project might have that capital planning avenue as well as just straight CPA.
Yeah, Jeremy was talking about that as well.
Can you just send me some wording on that, Mike? What you
Yeah.
think should be good? Thanks.
So I don't want to maybe get too off topic. So are your thoughts, so if like we had a project that was 100 CPA funded, you still would like to see it go through the capital planning process as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
Just to-
generally most of the capital projects are going to have something to do with either facilities, whether it be a parcel, or a building or something. Even the windows in town hall, Dan, that should be part of a broader capital plan too, right?
Okay, yeah, I'm just wondering about the process.
Okay, the next thing I just have the updates on the Affordable Housing Committee. We kind of talked about doing that. What? Is that something the select board can just appoint or something? The reason I'm asking that is like Jack Hunter is saying that, we have this like loose group of people that kind of work on affordable housing projects, but it would be kind of, well, like, you helping with the housing production plan and that. How did we leave that about doing some kind of committee? I don't remember.
I'm not sure it's been formally requested. I know my sense was, I think you had in the minutes, I'm referring back to the housing production plan in terms of whether it's affordable or not, but I think that's a subset of how
Okay,
to execute against that plan that's part of the housing, plan. I'm not sure affordable housing specifically, I would recommend another committee just because I think we've gotten some new ones going, which is good, but we're still trying to find volunteers for existing, unless you say it's a subcommittee. I saw a reference to subcommittee. It would be a subcommittee of what committee, Ann, in your mind, if we did that?
either this committee or the select board, I would say.
But a subcommittee would then, if it's a subcommittee of this committee, it would be made up of members of this committee, which I'm not sure.
So it would be,
I
does
would think,
a subcommittee have to be made up of the same, the planning board.
I don't know. I always look at it that way as a subcommittee when I think about like the budget subcommittee for the school. It's members of the school. Well, it's members of the school committee, and then they might pull in some other people, I guess. So
Yeah, I was thinking like these bylaw review committees are subcommittees, but they're.
yeah, I think those. Well,
Are they?
well, I'm not sure, but it's a committee or subcommittee. I guess it would fall under the purview of the select board. I would move forward to the select board again, like we said, talked about last time. Say, is this something we want to do?
Okay,
But to get one appointed, that would be with the board, I think.
all right. I'll come back with something more concrete. I'll talk with Jack, but were you gonna say something, Dan?
No,
Okay,
I'd coordinate with Jeremy and too when you talk to Jack, and because I think he's probably got a good sense of what other committees are in being considered, if that makes sense.
yes. Definitely, okay. The next item is the Denton property, and there was a nice article in the Free Press on the Denton property, and the last sentence I asked, to put in was, if anyone would like to volunteer to be volunteer land stewards. We got 7 people that want to be volunteer land stewards, which is awesome, because, we need help. So, I responded to them and said, we're still going through the due diligence and whatever, but we're hoping to close in June. So I thought that was really great that many people responded and were interested, in helping out in the property, and there'll be trails and, lots of stuff to do, so. And that's all I have. Does somebody else have anything? No?
Did I see something about the Cahill property?
Yeah, well, the Cahill property is a chapter 61A property, so the town has the right of first refusal, so the select board have to figure out if they want to pursue the property or not, and so that it's being looked into, whether or not, it might be good for sports fields or other things. There's a town cemetery that abuts the property. It was farmed, could it be a situation where, a farmer could use the property and then open up a farm stand? There's also wetlands, it could be in a floodplain, so there's like a lot of different pieces of information to look at. I don't know, do you want to say anything, Mike, on that?
No, I think you covered it. I just know it's coming up for review.
Yeah,
I mean, you provided the most information I've seen, Ann, so far.
okay.
We have like 135 days or something, right?
It's 120 days, which isn't a lot.
No, but we get this time that it
Yeah.
would come back to a future meeting if it needed action.
Right. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll find out more this week if it's worth pursuing or not, or if people are interested. It's definitely should be looked at because it is, a good property, but, so I'm not sure what's gonna happen.
Ian, a question for you. Does the town have any opportunity in its right of first refusal to open access to that cemetery? Because I believe that's 8 acres, isn't it?
I don't know, Dan,
There's
you
a-
know any-
There's a town-owned parcel. So there's a parcel that's landlocked, and I think the access to it was the former Thayer Road that was discontinued when the gas plant. And then
Right.
also you can access through the Varney property, but it's private. So this says, I'd have to log on, this says in square feet. 343,000 square feet. And then Cook Cemetery is 5,000. But yeah, so that could be, that would be interesting, depending on what we do, if we can at least gain access to this parcel that's kind of landlocked.
Did you say 8 acres, Kathy?
Here, I'll look it
I
up.
believe
That
it
sounds-
is.
Yeah, that sounds about 8 acres, that many square feet. There's a lot of different ways that the town could go on it. I think that for the town though, if they were going to take advantage of the right of first refusal, they would have to move forward and do something completely. Or if the town rejects it, then the developer could say, yes, we'll give you access, no, the other option is working with the developer to try to come up with something. So it just depends where the town decides to go.
But Kathy,
Right.
I know there's a similar thought that you had from the board's perspective when that was sent. I saw her
Oh,
comment. I know
good.
Mike very focused on it.
Yeah, it's definitely been brought up, Kathy, in terms of an interest on the property as one aspect of it, so. And Isabella's, looking into the wetland aspect, so we'll see.
All right,
But
great.
I don't know if Kathy's trying to say something on that.
no, I think she's all set.
Blinking anyway, okay?
Anything else?
I'm good.
All right, motion to adjourn,
So move.
Second?
all those in favor?
Okay.
Like, I
Yeah,
Kathy?
I
Okay, and Nays are aye. All right. All right, well, thank you. We'll see you
Thanks,
next month.
stay warm.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
good night.
see ya. I haven't ever been out there. Supposedly the headstones are gone. There's only like 4 graves, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop the recording, but
It's still.
that's what I have right here.
We have to go back to teams. Oh, make it full screen. And then, yeah.
Okay.
All the headstones are gone now?
I don't know. So somebody told me that the headstone